Greetings, it's Iain from RTL here. Welcome to A Perfect Side, where I take an album, listen to it and go, this is my perfect side. Now, this one is a challenge set by my mate Lee. But as you know, we're both big Status Quo fans, and he just said to me, have you done a Status Quo album yet? Because he came up with this idea anyway, and I went, no. He says, I said, I don't know what one to do. He says, well, I'll tell you which one you need to do. And I was dreading he was going to say this, and he said exactly what I didn't want him to really say. Whatever you want. It's a toughie, this is. Great album. Now, this is the band's... came out... it's their 12th album. And it was released in 1979. Playing on here are Francis Rossi guitars and vocals, Rick Parfitt guitars and vocals, Alan Lancaster bass and vocals, John Cogland and drums. Additional personnel, because he wasn't a full member of the band, Andy Bown on keyboards, and on harmonica, the one and only Mr. Bob Young. So of course this album does open up with the title track, written by Mr. Rick Parfitt and Andy Bown. Although not a full-time member, Andy Bown wrote some good songs before he became a full member. This, of course, has got one of the most iconic openings of any Quo track. That you know, when they did it on stage, you have the tandems, guitar swinging. It's a great song, great single. What more can you say about that track? Because everybody knows this one. Okay, the second track on this album is called Shady Lady. One of the great rockers on this. The straight up riffs, riffs are brilliant. Great vocal from Francis on this. It's a real short track. Brilliant stuff. I do love that track. Then we have an Alan Lancaster song called Who Asked You. Now there's not many of Alan Lancaster songs written that Francis sings, and this is one of them. I love the drumming from John at the beginning is superb. The brilliant riff on this, it's a great long. And that sort of transitions into another track written by Rick and Andy, and it's called Your Smiling Face. Great vocal from Rick on this. I love the beginning bit, the little twinkling bits on the piano. Absolutely brilliant, some nice riffs on that. And the last track on side one is the one that really took us by surprise, and it's Living on an Island. The harmonies on this are wonderful, and the song's actually about Rick Parfitt living in Jersey, believe it or not, when he was tax exiled. And I love this song. The harmonies are good. I love John's drumming. He really hits them, and the uplift on the drums and the cymbals is brilliant. Good track. So let's flip it over to side two, and it starts off with a track called Come Rock With Me that actually says the title of the next song, Rockin On. It's got a brilliant typical Francis Rossi track and Bernie Frost shuffle boogie. The drumming from John is brilliant. This is the more gentler one, and then it goes straight into Rockin On, which mentions Come Rock With Me. Now the riff of this must have been hanging around for years, because if you hit that riff is actually on the live version on the live album of 4500 Times. So it was a riff they'd come up with, which that came into this. I think these two are the best two transition songs. Worked well together. You can't play one without the other. It's just proper Quo. Brilliant tracks. Then we've got Runaway. Now this is one of my favourite deep cut tracks by Status Quo. They did a video for it, but it never was released as a single. I think it's got a brilliant bass line from Alan on it, and I love the guitar work on this. Absolutely brilliant. The next track is High Flyer. Great opening riff on here. It's another Lancaster and Bob Young. Alan sings this. It's a typical Alan Lancaster track. Great vocal. You've got Francis doing the backing vocals on it. It's a great guitar solo on it. Another solid track. But my favourite track on here is the last track, and it's Breaking Away. Always been my favourite track off this album. I prefer it to Whatever You Want. What I like about it, at the beginning of it's a more of a gentle sort of track with Francis singing. The drumming from John is brilliant. And then all of a sudden it dies down, and then you get this great little riff from Rick that starts gentle and rolls up and rolls. And then you've got what you call a proper Rick rocker vocal. Absolutely killing it. It's brilliant. Wish they'd have done this live. Absolutely brilliant track. But then we go down into then it slows down again, and then in comes Bob Young on the harmonica to finish the track off. Brilliant track. I do believe, it's hard to remember, I think this is my fourth favourite Status Quo album. There isn't a bad track on this album. From top to bottom, it is absolutely full of brilliant tracks. Now, picking a perfect side off this album is so difficult, because on side one you've got the big hit, Whatever You Want. You've got the angelic, Living on an Island, the raunchy rocker, Shady Lady, and the two sort of funky sort of rock tracks, Who Asked You in Your Smiling Face. Side 2 opens up with them two, Come Rock and Me, Rockin On, which are just brilliant boogie tracks. You've got the groovy little Runaway, High Flyer, and the ball breaking Away. I love them tracks when you got a gentle and then Rick comes along and thing. So listen to this album a few times. I do like listening to this album anyway, and I'm going to be brutally honest, I think side 2 is an absolute belter. It's Quo at the finest. I love Whatever You Want and Living on an Island, but this side, it's just wall to wall, 12-bar boogie shuffle from the first note to the last note. They're just brilliant tracks, and they're the ones that people don't know from this album unless you're a big Quo fan. But for me, it's side 2 of this album. So there we go. Tough one, but I think I made the right decision on this one. Okay, it's starting to lighten up again. Unbelievable weather we get. We'll be back tomorrow, and we've got a busy old day. First up, we have got a birthday top 10 for Hugh Scott's aunt, Catherine. Then we got an album ranking of viewers' request of Snow Patrol. And then we've got a retro ranking, which is a little bit of fun tomorrow. We're going to do 20 TV children's themes. Go back to our childhoods. Well, I'm going to pick the tunes that I used to like as a kid, and tell you a little bit about why I watch the programmes. So that's all coming up tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody, and I will speak to you tomorrow. Bye for now.